Hello everyone, and welcome again to Payments Live. My name is Mihai, and with me today I have my colleague Pong.
Hey.
On the left and on the right is my colleague Nasser.
Hi.
And everyone is really excited today because we have a fabulous topic, and that is a recap of the announcements and Google Wallet product launches at I/O. And this year's I/O was one of the best for the wallet team. Besides major product announcements and meeting lots of developers, getting valuable feedback, we had some very interesting sessions. And thousands of people watched our sessions and visited the developer sandbox where we interacted with the wallet team. So let's get straight into it. What did we announce? Let me switch to my slides here, where we have the list of sessions. And we had two major themes this year. And the first one was around improving the purchase experience in a mobile world. More and more purchases are happening on smartphones and on tablets, and there are some serious improvements that can be made around the purchasing experience. And for this, we had two interesting sessions. The first one was selling physical goods on Android with Google Instant Buy, and the second was building compelling e-commerce experiences on Android. And I'll briefly talk with Nasser about what we did to improve the consumer experience there. And the second theme, which Pong will go into in more detail, was around digitizing the entire information you currently have in your physical wallet and move it to your
Cloud wallet.
And the digital wallet. And again, two great sessions here. The first one was digitizing the entire wallet, introducing wallet objects, which is our new API. And the second one, which goes into a little bit more details, is redefining loyalty in the mobile age. And of course, we also announced a very interesting product, which was Pay by Gmail. And we didn't have a session for it, but it was very popular with the I/O crowd and all the attendees who got to send money to each other.
I think we gave everybody $10
We gave everybody. Yeah.
That usually helps.
Definitely. It is still rolling out to all the Gmail users in the US, but you can also get earlier access if you have friends who already have it. If you know anyone who attended Google I/O, just ask them for money, and we give them money. They can give you a few dollars to you. So let's go through the sessions one by one. Let's start with the Instant Buy session. So Nasser, we announced Google Wallet Instant Buy.
Yes.
For Android, which is a pretty significant announcement. And can you go into more details, tell us more about it?
Absolutely, I'd love to. So as you said, that this is an Android API. This is actually an Android API for physical goods, which was recently announced on May 15th, on day one of I/O. And we also had this session that you talked about, that Prakash and Michael Galvin from engineering. Prakash is our PM, and Michael Galvin, who is our tech lead. They presented. So it was a very interesting session. They actually covered the entire product in great detail. And I want to just give you a quick overview of what the session was all about. The most interesting piece of information that kind of comes out of the first few slides of the session was this number, 97%. This is the rate of abandonment on mobile devices for any purchase. Now, why this happens, they went into detail of why this happens. As you know, form factors play the big role. You have to enter a lot of details while you're purchasing things, and people just can't do it on a small device. They just either are moving fast, and it's really painful to enter your name, address, shipping address, billing address, credit card information, and so forth. And this is where this product comes in. So essentially, what was launched here is this Instant Buy, which is basically an API that enables fast checkout for physical goods on the device. It's a native API which works from within the native app for merchants, and so the users don't have to go out at all from their app experience. You just skip the registration, you just sign in, and essentially you're already signed into Android device, because once you have an account on an Android device, you're already signed in. It's extremely secure. So from user perspective, they get all the benefits that they have using wallet. The merchants get the complete payment flow as they would get the flow with any other payment instrument, but essentially with wallet, they get what we call as a one-time use card. So the user is protected by the amount that they actually purchase with the merchant, and the merchant gets a pretty seamless experience, which is the other beauty of it, because the integration is extremely simple. It's almost zero changes to their backend, really. And the best of all, it's free from Google, so Google doesn't charge any additional fee for this product. So from merchant's perspective, it's like any other credit card coming into their flow.
Yeah, so you get both of both worlds.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let me go into a little bit more. So they also announced 11 merchants that we went live on the same day.
I see some pretty big names here.
Pretty big names here. As you can see, they are from wide array of verticals. We have travel, Priceline, Expedia, Airbnb. We have some order ahead kind of merchants like Tabbed Out and GoPayGo. If you have traveled in a big city, taken a cab, you must be familiar with Uber, which is a pretty nice experience. So all of these were launched on that day, and pretty significant. We're seeing a great uptake on these apps ever since. So, but let me kind of give you a little bit more insight of what this product is all about. So like I said, a native app, from user perspective, when they are interacting with it, from within the app, they get to access their Google Wallets in the cloud. And the way it happens seamlessly is the app accesses, and I'll come to it in a minute about what the architecture looks like, but essentially from user perspective, they don't move out of the app at all. They access their Google Wallets securely, and from there they can select the instrument of their choice and the shipping address of their choice. And the information comes back to the app, which can then be passed on to the merchant's payment processor in the cloud. So it's a pretty seamless flow. So users just interact with wallet once. The merchant get what we call a one-time or a proxy card, and then they use that proxy card as they would use any other card with their payment instrument, with their payment processor in the cloud. So pretty seamless and nice experience for both merchant and the user.
Yeah, I like it that we started the design with the user in mind.
Exactly.
Make it as seamless as possible
Exactly.
for the user. Keep in mind the restrictions of mobile devices,
Right.
limited screen size, and
Yeah.
then as seamless as possible for the merchant as well.
Absolutely.
Just give them a card, they'll charge it, they're done.
Yep. Yep.
Yeah, very nice.
And coming back to the number that I started with, 97%. This actually, as you'll see, we have a demo actually for you that will show you as to how this really reduces that friction. So, but before that, let me just show you a quick high-level architecture of this solution. So how does this fit in from developer perspective? So if you are familiar with Google Play Services, this is part of Google Play Services. And the way it works is that your app actually compiles with a very thin client library, which is the Google Play Services client library. And then there is a Google Play Services APK which runs on the device, which essentially is a window into all Google services on the device. So your app interacts with this thin client library and get access to wallet. The beauty of this is the Google Play Services APK has an automatic update from Google Play Store, so you don't have to worry about any changes, enhancements that we make from merchant perspective. And the users keep on getting the best of breed experience without them having to do anything specific in terms of upgrade. So like I said, we have a demo lined up for you. Let me just show you a quick demo and just so that you can see what I'm talking about here in full glory. So if you can see my device now, I have this demo application. This demo application is selling cameras, and I just have 3 demo cameras here. So it's a typical mobile app with a m-commerce kind of store. So I select a camera as you would do in any other merchant app, and I add it to my cart. Now something interesting happened. As you can see, there is a Buy with Google button here, and the Buy with Google button is where you actually begin to interact with Google Wallet. So on this page, instead of doing continue checkout, which I would do otherwise, I'd click on Buy with Google. And this brings a very interesting UI, which is actually a Google Wallet UI. So as you can see, I didn't move out of the app, but this UI pops up right within the app. And it is actually leading me into my Google Wallet in the cloud. So it shows me my saved payment instruments. I select a MasterCard here, and it also shows some addresses that I have. So I select this address on file. And this checkbox is basically for using Google Wallet for future purchases, and that's something called a pre-authorization, where you actually, if you select this, you don't see this pop up again. So it just assumes your intention to use Google Wallet next time around. So for now, I'll uncheck it and move to continue. And as you can see, I'm right onto the confirmation page. At this time, I have gotten my what we call a masked payment instrument, my MasterCard right here. I have my shipping address. I can of course change any of these. I have a change button which brings the same chooser as before. But essentially, I'll not do that. I'll just confirm the order, and that's it. The payment is done. The payment has information has gone to the merchant, and as you can see, I didn't have to enter any of the things like credit card, address, any of that. So it's extremely simple for the user. Just a few clicks and you're done.
Yeah, 2-click buying experience.
Exactly.
Like the camera, buy with Google.
It's being shipped right now. So I'll tell you how it is.
And you're out of a few $100, probably close to 1,000 for a good camera.
Exactly.
Great, thank you for the demo, Nasser. And quick question. So this is an Android API,
yes,
an Android SDK API, and we already have on Android the in-app billing API, which also is a wallet API. How do these two APIs compare to each other?
That's a very good question. So the in-app billing API, as you know, has been around for a while, and that's the API for digital goods being sold on Android. Whereas this API is specifically for physical goods and services.
Okay.
So it's a clear distinction. There are two different APIs, but between the two of them, they cover the entire spectrum.
Yeah.
Yep.
So we added what was missing.
Exactly.
We had digital goods used by thousands of developers, and now services and physical goods are also taking off in the mobile world.
Yep.
And we have the API for you.
And from the user perspective, it's the same wallet in the cloud. So from user, it's pretty seamless.
Yeah, for the user, they're using the same account, the same wallet.
Yep.
So that's good for the users. How about the developers and the merchants? How can they use it? Where can they get their hands on the SDK?
Absolutely. So this, as of this time, this is still a limited availability API. We do have an interest form, as you can see on the screen.
You can sign up.
It's a URL here, getinstantbuy.withgoogle.com. So it's an interest form.
Everyone can see it. It's on our slides.
Just fill it up, and somebody will get back to you.
Easy to remember. Getinstantbuy.withgoogle.com. Easy form will ask you for some information to get an idea of what kind of card processing you have and what type of services and products you're selling. And once you sign up, we'll get in touch with you. So this was our main session on the Instant Buy API. And I encourage everyone, if you didn't see the session, go see it. We have a lot more information, some interesting demos with some partners, and you'll learn a lot from that session. So there's another session that was also very interesting.
Yes.
And that's the building e-commerce experiences on Android. Can you tell us a little bit about this session?
Well, yes, this is a very interesting session. This is actually a pretty deep Android session. So as you see in this demo that the Google Wallet team has embraced a lot of best practices and seamlessly given them to the user and merchant for them to use. This session talks a little bit about those, how they did what they did, and also how merchants can make use of those best practices in their apps to provide a seamless, nice experience to the user. So this was a bunch of best practices and tips and tricks. I've just taken a few of them. Like it's a very in-depth, nice session. I encourage everyone to view this as well. But in terms of key takeaways, as you can see in mobile, like I talked about, form filling is a big problem. So they talked about how they can do real-time formatting of forms, how they can do validation of the form right within the device, how they can auto-advance fields, so know when the field is filled up and you move to the next one, making it easy for the user to navigate. Input suggestions for different things. And what I really like is address autocomplete. I have another slide on that. Disk-based cache for quick access of things which are not changing so frequently. So they talk about selectively caching things. This is a very insightful discussion about security and privacy as well in the talk. But what I really like, as I said, is address autocomplete. It's a beautiful experience. If you happen to use any of these apps, partner apps, you'll see if you have to add an address in wallet. So you can do that very quickly because it just happens automatically. You start entering it, And just like as you would have on Maps, it would get the information from Wallet, from Google Places, and have you the addresses right there which you can select.
I love these new features. Sometimes I even forget the address when I see it popping up in the drop down. Oh, I remember that's the address.
Yeah, so that was the session.
Awesome. So very, very technical session, but definitely everyone will find it interesting and applies to all kinds of m-commerce applications, not necessarily wallet. So have a look at it. But are there any real-world examples that people can go and try and see how the API works and have a feel of the buy flow?
Oh, absolutely. So we had the partners that we launched.
You showed us the list of partners.
Yeah, so all of the partners have done a very good job of integrating our API.
Shall we go back to the list?
Yeah, let's look at the list one more time.
All right, here's the list.
Yeah, so I would recommend all of you to go ahead, download these apps and play around with them. In terms of best practices, like I said, all of them have done a great job, but you can have a look at Fancy, which was, the Fancy engineer was also co-hosting the session that I talked about, so he was there. And they talked about some of the best practices that they had in their app, like for example, how do they handle international audience, how do they handle internationalization, localization, things of that kind, which are extremely important for mobile as well, because you move to UK, you have a different kind of postal code, so you have to take that into account and things of that kind. Latency improvements, how the apps can do well on latency reductions. Fancy has also done a good job of integrating Wallet and G+. So that's a very interesting demo, as you'll see. TagStand is another interesting app. They have what we call a two-click purchase, single SKU purchase. So have a look at that. They are following Android UI guidelines very, very carefully. So it's a good UI to look at. Expedia is a fluid user experience. It's a very beautiful app. They load a lot of things in background. Wallet information is loaded in background. They have something called swipe to purchase, which works beautifully. Priceline is again a very nice integration. They have also done SSO, single sign-on with Google, so that works very nicely. They have a simplified checkout with Wallet, and they are basically, if you want to look at a standard Wallet checkout flow, Priceline is the app to look at, which is very similar in terms of the flow to the app that I showed you. So it's basically just following exactly the kind of flow that we recommend. Yeah, so all of these apps are great, but yeah.
Fantastic. So we have the API launched, we have some great examples and partners to inspire from.
Yeah.
We have some great sessions that go deep into details,
right,
and lets you use some new additions to the Android world, like autocomplete and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So get ready to implement.
Absolutely.
Start selling.
Get ready to
It's
sell.
instant buy. Get ready to sell.
Get instant buy.
So remember, get instantbuy.withgoogle.com, sign up, and documentation is out, examples are out. You just need to have something to sell. Great, thank you, Nasser. Very interesting couple of sessions. So now going back to our list, the second major theme.
Yeah.
Now Pong will take over,
I guess it's
and
my
we're
turn.
going to talk about wallet objects and digitizing your entire wallet experience. So can you tell us a little bit more about Wallet Objects platform and what exactly did we announce at I/O?
Sure. So I'm sure some of you are already familiar with what Google Wallet is and the goal of Google Wallet. And for those of you who aren't, it's Google's goal. Well, the idea is that with Google Wallet, what we want to do is we want to enable the digitization of all of the physical items that people typically carry within their wallet.
So we're showing now a slide which
There's a lot of stuff.
Lots of stuff that actually does not fit in your wallet.
Yeah.
You don't want to have all that stuff in your wallet. You need like 5 pockets to keep all that.
Yeah. I wear cargo shorts, and it works for me.
Or a small purse.
But
so yes, please digitize.
yeah. So before what we did was we allowed you to save payment cards and offers into your wallet, right? And that was kind of restrictive. So at I/O, what we did was we announced the Wallet Objects API. And this is one step towards adding additional things and being able to save additional things into your Google Wallet. At I/O, we had 2 sessions covering the Wallet Objects API. The first session was more of a general session that kind of covered, what are the pain points that consumers typically encounter today, and what are solutions for those pain points? The second session was a session about a technical deep dive session on how to integrate the Google Wallet Objects API.
So sounds very interesting. Let's go to them one by one. So first session was the overall session. Let's talk about that one a little bit.
Yeah. So, I think in everyday usage of loyalty cards or offers, there's a lot of friction that occurs, right? For example, on average, each household has something like 18 loyalty cards, but I'm pretty sure that none of us carry around that amount.
Somewhere in a drawer.
Yeah, I have, my cousin gave me a gift card for Bed Bath & Beyond for Christmas, and it's just stuck in a drawer somewhere. I go to Bed Bath & Beyond, but the card is never with me, right? I think that's a problem that a lot of people encounter. And I have like a Safeway card and everything, but all of that stuff stays at home, and sometimes I forget to enter in stuff. So I think that's one of the problems that we're trying to solve for consumers, right? These things that we probably want to carry around, but we don't because it's a hassle. One thing that everybody does carry around though is their phone, right? It's already a camera, it's already a communication device, it's already an MP3 player, so why not just add just a little bit more, just add a little bit more functionality to it. And the solution that we came up with, the solution that we came up with before was wallet objects, and we're going to append the wallet objects API, right? So with it, developers can kind of define the objects that users can store, and then users can then save these objects to their Google Wallet API, or to their Google Wallet. And in addition to simplifying things for the user, we're also enabling a bunch of new opportunities for the merchant, right? So, the merchant's involved. So imagine that, we're enabling real-time updates and geofencing for each of these wallet objects. So imagine that I'm shopping in Union Square or something. I'm kind of thirsty, and my phone buzzes. It reminds me that I have $10 saved at a store. Let's say Starbucks, for example, right? It's geofenced, so it knows that, hey, there's a Starbucks around. Hey, you have $10 saved here, and it tells me that. It reminds me to go there. So then I go to Starbucks. I get my black coffee. Not a big sugar and cream kind of person.
And you're doubly happy.
Yeah, I'm doubly happy.
You get a coffee and you didn't spend any money.
Yeah,
you already had a coupon.
Well, yeah, it reminded me that I had a coupon for it. But let's say that this coffee is actually my 30th star. And I think some people are familiar with the Starbucks Rewards program. But after you purchase 30 coffees, it upgrades you to the next tier.
Okay.
And then once I get upgraded to the next tier, it automatically notifies me within the Google Wallet application. Right? So that kind of engagement and reminder mechanism is something that we're trying to provide as value to the merchant and to the consumer. Also, as a merchant, imagine that I could have the Save to Wallet button for offers on some sort of ads on my site. Right? So now, when these things are redeemed offline, I can kind of track my online ad spend to my offline conversions. I think that being able to track that is something that could be really valuable to merchants.
It's absolutely, yeah.
And what we're going to show right now on the screen is the consumer sign-up experience. Another benefit that we're providing for merchants is, merchants and consumers, is ability to instantly sign up. So, all of these consumers have their information stored in the clouds. Like, why do they need to refill it in every time they sign up for a new loyalty program?
Again, big problem in general, and in particular on mobile devices. Yeah.
A lot of pain points, right? So we're going to we're trying to simplify that by doing something like instant sign up. Hey, I'm interested in signing up for this loyalty program. Hey, use my Google credentials to fill it out. And then boom, you're done. You have your new loyalty card and you're now a member of that program.
Nice. Design it with the consumer in mind? And
both parties. There has to be value to both parties for anything to get adoption.
So where can developers start using it? Is it available?
So the Wallet Objects API right now is currently private for partners.
Okay.
But we'll have a URL later that we're going to show in a little bit. So if you're interested in signing up for the Wallet Objects API, it's at google.com/wallet/business/loyalty. And I'm currently working on the docs right now, so we will get that out as soon as possible.
Another easy to remember URL, wallet/business/loyalty.
Just watch
So
it. You just pause the
and
YouTube stream, right?
And
and we're trying to simplify
sign up
stuff.
form, and we can get back to you with more information how to get your hands on the API and start putting your loyalty program or other kind of digitized
So
information on
I mean, if you're interested in, so for more information about the Wallet Objects API or the Wallet Objects platform, and then how we're envisioning it and what the pain points we're trying to solve, and the general overview of it, check out the Introducing Wallet Objects session. We also have a second session.
Yeah, so definitely we just gave a quick overview and try to entice you a little bit, get you more interested, but the session has a lot of information and definitely worth watching. And then the second session you mentioned, which is redefining loyalty in the mobile age.
Yeah, so
go into more detail there.
I mean, the reason why everything is like loyalty and offers is because we're starting off with two major verticals, right? It's kind of the niche approach where we're targeting the main pain points that users encounter, right, which are loyalty and offers. So the session is about kind of a technical deep dive and how do you integrate Wallet Object API for loyalty. The same API is applicable across almost all the verticals that Wallet Objects API supports. And at its core, it's a OAuth REST API. So how the user uses it is you would create a wallet object. The user then saves this wallet object to their wallet, and then you can get a list of the wallet objects that users have saved that you own, and then use the REST API mechanisms to update it and modify it and engage with your consumers. Everything that you update and that you modify gets pushed to your users in real time. During the talk, we also talk about the JSON. During the session, we also talk about the JSON representation of these objects. And if you're really interested in if you're interested in all these nitty-gritty details, check out the Redefining Loyalty in the Mobile Age presentation.
Great.
We'll probably also have a GDL to do a technical deep dive later.
Definitely.
When the docs are done, and a little bit later this quarter.
Yeah, we have a lot more stuff to talk about, so stay tuned to this channel.
Yeah. Stay tuned.
All right, so great. We covered the two major themes at I/O: the instant buy launch, improving the mobile purchasing experience, and the Wallet Objects platform launch, digitizing your entire world and putting it in the cloud, in your digital wallet.
Doing that, it took a lot of pain away from the users.
Yes, and making users happy along the way and making it simpler for merchants to make money and improve conversion rates in both cases. So before wrapping up, let's talk a little bit about the sandbox, the developer sandbox at I/O, since we're on the I/O topic.
Sure.
So we met a lot of developers, got a lot of great feedback. Partners showcase their latest apps.
Yeah, show them some pictures from.
And we have pictures.
Yeah.
All right, this is a picture. Wow.
It was busy. It was really busy.
That was busy. That was the Wallet Developer Sandbox. And if you look carefully, maybe you see some of us there. And some of the partners, Nasir mentioned on the slides, were also sandbox partners and showcased their apps. And we also had something very interesting, like a prototype interactive store that you worked on, Phong. Can you talk a little bit about it?
Sure. So we wanted something kind of to inspire developers and get them to think about the things that they could do with the Instant Buy API. And the best way to do that is with something that is really like, wow, right? Like, what kind of purchase experience can you do with this API that allows you to purchase physical goods really easily on a mobile device? And we kind of got some inspiration from Tesco. What we did was we built a Google Concept Store. And with the store, what you're doing is you're browsing items. It can actually show the next slide.
It's the big screen on the vertical screen on the
Yeah.
right, and we have another picture of it. And yay,
Yeah.
this is
So
Nagesh.
yeah, this guy is Nagesh. He's also on our team. And then we'll actually be talking about this. We'll be deep diving into what we did next week, or not next week, during the next GDL. But for now, I can give you a quick overview of what it is and why it's cool, and like what we were hoping to accomplish.
What is he buying there?
That
It's
is
a
an
fluffy
Android
Android.
question. So the idea is that it's a interactive display or interactive touchscreen. You can have all of your store's inventory in a single interactive display. The user can pan through it, and then once they tap on the item, they can find more details. In the middle is actually a 360 swivel, so you get a 360-degree view of the item that the user's interested in. And to purchase, what a user can do is they can take out their phone, they can scan the QR code, which adds the item to their cart on the phone, and using the Instant Buy API, they can purchase with a few clicks. Right? Fulfillment wasn't handled in our concept demo, but you could easily handle it with a same-day delivery service. So imagine something like, oh, the store is closed, but you have this within the window display. A user could be walking by, like maybe they see a shirt that they like or something that catches their fancy. They check it out, they interact with it. It's like a real kind of touching experience, right? In-person experience, branded experience. They purchase it, and then it's delivered later to their house, right? So that's kind of the showcase that we want to make to inspire developers and get them thinking about, hey, now that purchasing physical goods on the phone is so simple, what can we do with it?
Yeah.
So in the next GDL, what we'll be doing is talking about how we built it. We're also looking to open source as much of the code as we can, so then anybody can build these interactive displays.
Love this. Looks like the real thing, especially with the 3D swivel.
Yeah.
You can see the item from all angles.
It's pretty cool.
And let's say you're at Costco and something is not available there.
Yeah.
You just go,
get it delivered to your house.
and buy it, and that's it.
Or you could put this at like the bus station, or what Tesco
Kiosk
was
at the
there.
airport. You
Yeah.
can
Yeah.
buy
Yeah.
things and pick it up
You
on
get
the way.
delivered on your house or something. I don't know.
You can do it before visiting the store. And just pick it up there.
True.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Looking forward to the session. So that's it. We did a quick tour and recap of the wallet sessions at Google I/O. And again, thank you for joining us, and thanks to all the developers who attended Google I/O and visited the sandbox, came and talked with us. We'll be back in a couple of weeks with some more exciting sessions, including the interactive store session.
Mm-hmm.
So until then, bye.
Bye.
See you guys.